Hello gamers, today we'll be taking a peek at the beautiful 2 to 5 player game Tokaido, which is known for its amazing visual aesthetics and its zen-like gameplay. Let's check it out. Inside of Tokaido, you will find this gorgeously detailed instruction book in full color. Explains everything you need to know. This 3-panel board depicting the journey from Kyoto to Edo. A stack of individual character cards, a set of souvenir, spring or hot bath, personalities, encounters, and meal cards, which will all give points. 3 decks of landscape cards, which we'll look at in more detail in a minute. A bunch of tokens, which are inserted into the player cards to determine which person you are. A bunch of money tokens, koku perhaps. Some small tokens for marking your point value on the board. And 5 individual character meeples for marking your position on the board. The goal of Tokaido is to have the richest experience possible while traveling from Kyoto all the way over to Edo. You accomplish this by purchasing interesting trinkets and souvenirs, relaxing in some hot springs, meeting interesting people, eating delicious food, seeing beautiful scenery, or paying homage to the temples. In Tokaido, there are no dice for movement or initiative. You basically determine who's furthest back on their journey, and they get to move. Since each space can only be landed on by one person, this gives a number of interesting strategic decisions that you have to make. Should I move ahead to get that spot I want, or should I stay behind so I can take multiple turns? Let's take a quick look. In this case, the yellow player is the furthest behind. They start the game by going first. Maybe they want to go and meet this person. They grab their personality card, the encounter card, and the next person goes. Next furthest back in line is light blue. Light blue decides to make a donation to the temple. They stop there and take their action. Next furthest back is purple. Purple decides to purchase some souvenirs. They make their purchases, and now we look at the route again. Who's furthest behind? Well, actually it's purple. Purple gets to take another turn because they're the furthest behind. That's where those interesting decisions come in. Now purple can go their own way. Maybe blue decides to go way ahead. And then light yellow could go. And they could go again. So you always have to think, do I need that spot? Will I get more out of it if I take my time? Or should I jump ahead and get that thing I need? Each space on the board has a corresponding action. The black spaces are the souvenir spaces. When you land on one of these, you draw 3 souvenir cards and purchase as many as you'd like. Next, the red space, or the temple, lets you donate to the temple up to 3 coins. Each coin that you donate gives you 1 victory point, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most coins donated earns 10 points. Next is the encounter space. Here, you meet a random individual, which has a number of different things that they'll do for you, including give you an extra landscape piece, add some money to the temple, or just give you 3 points. The next space on the way to Edo is a landscape spot. This is a green landscape spot, and we'll go over the landscape cards in a later time. Next, the blue spot is a hot spring spot. This gets you a random hot spring card that will give you from 2 to 3 points. Next is the white landscape spot, and we'll check that out later also. Then we have the gold spot, which gets you 3 gold coins. The coins are for purchasing trinkets or purchasing meals when you get to an inn spot. The last space, the blue ones, are a blue landscape spot. Again, we'll go over that in just a second. Once you reach an inn, you draw as many meal cards as there are players. Add 1. And pick the one that you want. They can cost between 1 and 3 gold coins, so sometimes you might end up with nothing. Tokaido also has some really neat additions to the board to keep track of some stuff. For the temple, everyone's coins go in these designated spots, and it tells you right on the board how many points you get at the end of the game. Additionally, there's a scoring track on top that keeps track of everyone, so you can tell at a glance who you're ahead of and who you're behind. Now these landscape cards come in the 3 different colors, blue, white, and green, and each one has a different number of panels. The blue is the most difficult, has actually 5. There's the 5-point card, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. And you start with the 1-point card, and the next time you go to a space, you get a 2-point card. And the neat thing about these is that they actually all come together to make one beautiful scenery. I'll save the spoilers for you for the other 2, but I'll put together the big long number 5 blue one because it's just that cool. So as you can see, these all go together to make this one long picture, which I think are just an amazing idea and really beautiful. And it really makes you feel like, why, I went and saw a whole bunch of stuff. Additionally, if you're the first person to finish one of these, whether it's the blue, the white, or the green one, you actually get a 3-point bonus also. So it's worthwhile to go check these out. One other unique scoring aspect of the game are the souvenirs. As you can see, there are a number of different ones, and each one has a different symbol in the bottom left-hand corner. There are actually 4 of these. Gifts, trinkets, I think clothing, and food. And it also has this scoring kind of chart on the card. You basically want to get a full set, one of each thing. If you have multiple foods, each one is only going to be worth 1 point. But if you have a food and a cloth, 2 different ones, the food's going to be worth 1, and the clothing's going to be worth 3, because you have 2 different, so you'd have 4 points. So the object is to get basically one of each, so you get a 7, a 5, a 3, and a 1, giving you a 16-point set. Very nice. Finally, there are these special achievement cards. Basically, first person to finish a blue panorama, 3. First person to finish a green gets 3 points, and first person to finish the white panorama gets 3 points. Also, at the end of the game, the person who's visited the most hot springs gets a bonus 3. The person who's eaten the most expensive food gets 3. The person who's bought the most trinkets gets 3 points. And the person who's met the most, or had the most encounters gets a bonus 3 points. So there's also a bonus incentive for being the best at any one of those spots. It's also kind of random, but something I think is interesting. The game uses 5 kind of unique colors, not ones that you typically see in games, and I think that's a nice addition to it as well. The last interesting part is, at the beginning of the game, you'll get 2 different character cards. You can choose between which one you want, and each one has a unique amount of gold that they'll start with, and a unique special ability. In this case, this character, every time you visit an inn, you get 1 free scenery token of your choice. So you could get a green card, a white card, or a blue card. This character starts with more gold, starts with 7, and every time it goes to an inn, it can pay 1 less for a meal, getting you meals for free, or those expensive 3 coin ones for only 2. There is a special reward for at the end of the game, the person who's paid the most for food, so this can come in handy for that also. And that's basically Tokaido. As you saw, it's not very difficult. It's quite intuitive of the way it works. And I really like that there's no dice rolling or keeping track of whose turn it is. You just look at the board and whoever's furthest behind gets to go. It works really, really well, and it really makes you feel like you're going on a journey because it's not rushed. You just go at your own pace. It plays from 2 to 5 players, but when you play with 2 players, there's actually an addition of this kind of interesting ghost character that when the ghost character is furthest behind, whoever's in the front, who the furthest ahead, gets to move them, which seems like I would like as it adds another layer of strategy to it, because you're kind of worrying about, alright, if I move forward all the way ahead, I also get to move this ghost character, maybe can cancel one of my opponent's spots. But if I stay behind, I'll get to take another turn, but my opponent gets to move the ghost because they're in the lead now. And I want to like that, but it really seems to take away from kind of your personal journey. You're thinking about what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, but in the 2-player, suddenly you're also worrying about, God, I gotta move that ghost character. I want to stop my opponent from getting this piece, and it adds to the competition, but I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I'm not saying that's bad for everyone, but for me and my kind of feeling about the game, I like it better with the 3 to 5 players, which works very well. One of the other things about that is on the board, as you saw, some of the places have 2 dots, And when you're playing with 4 or 5 players, there are multiple spaces on some of the locations that 2 people can go to. And then whoever's on the top is considered further behind. And this opens up the board a little bit, otherwise you just blow through it so quickly with that number of players that it would be over so quickly. So there it is. I really, really love this game. I think it's amazing. It's currently 5th on my list overall, and we'll go over into the scoring right now. For fun, for Tokaido, I give it a score of a 9. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. It's right up there with my favorite game of all time, Hive, as far as funness. It's, again, not quite as maybe deep as I might like, but I think for what it is just amazingly well designed and super fun. It's of course gorgeous to look at, and basically everyone I've introduced it to, gamers to non-gamers, have really enjoyed it, because it's so simple you can jump right in, yet it's strategic enough that there are always some important decisions to make. For strategy, I gave Tokaido a score of 7. It is not a super deep game, but each of your actions seems very meaningful, because you get some beautiful card out of it, or some coin, or something out of every one of your actions. Nothing is ever wasted, which I think is great. Like I said, with the 2-player, actually the strategy might actually bump up, but we prefer not to play it that way, because it seems to maybe take away a little bit from the kind of zen-like nature of the game. For ease for Tokaido, I gave it a score of 5. Now the rules are very simple. It's easy to see who's furthest back, that person gets to move. There are no dice rolling or complicated rules to keep track of. You move to a spot and pick up the designated card. Very simple. For replayability, I gave it a score of 5. It is always gorgeous. No matter how many times I see those completed landscapes, I always want to see them again. It's great how they interlock and go together. Each time you get 2 different of those characters, so your kind of perspective is going to be different each game, what you're trying to achieve each time also. And because of the way it works, you'll never be able to land on all the spaces that you want to, so you're never going to see all those encounter cards that you want. You're never going to see all those trinkets. It's great. I played a ton. Randomness. For Tokaido, I actually gave it a score of -2. There are some times, if you're getting really competitive and you're trying to collect these trinkets, or trying to collect these encounter cards, or trying to get some achievement, that you need certain cards to come up. And you just get the ones that you get to draw, especially for the trinket spaces. You just get 3. And because of the way the trinkets work, maybe you need certain ones to get more points. And that is the only bit of randomness in the entire game. Otherwise, it's just move your person, have a nice zen-like journey. Setup. As you saw for Tokaido, there is quite a few components, so it does take a minute to set up, shuffle the multiple decks of cards, hand out everyone's gold, and all that stuff, so it gets a -3. Not a bad thing, but it does take more than a couple minutes to set up. Cost. As you can see, this is a relatively large game, so I give it a cost score of -3. I think it costs maybe about $30 to $35, but it's well worth it. It's just more than some of the really low-level games, so it gets a score of -3. Players. For Tokaido, I gave a score of 4. It plays basically 3 to 5 players very well. It will play 2, but it does add that kind of weird ghost character, but otherwise it works with all the other player numbers very well. Theme. Tokaido, this is where this really shines. It really feels like you're going on this journey. You're checking out these landscapes, you're buying trinkets, it feels amazing. So it gets a score of 5 for me. Quality. This game also has great components and artwork. There was even a special edition on Kickstarter that just came out with even better, it's kind of specially painted miniatures, metal coins. It doesn't really need that, but that takes it even more to the next level. As you can see from everything I've shown you, it works very well and it's really amazing. And finally, duration. I gave it a duration score of 3. The box says about 45 minutes. It seems to have gone a little bit quicker than that. My siblings and I play a lot on Board Game Arena, and we can crank out a game fairly quickly with 3 or 4, even 5 players once you kind of know what's going on. Altogether, I gave Tokaido a score of 89. Like I said, that's number 5 on my list right now. I really enjoy it. It has basically a lot of stuff I really look for in a game. It's not random. It's beautiful. It's really thematic and draws you in with what's going on. And it really allows multiple players of different skill levels to play together. Even if you lose, you feel like you had a good time, like you've experienced something that maybe is not really the point of other games of winning at all costs. I just think it's a really well designed, beautiful, super fun game. Check it out.